But Magna Carta was a document that was dropped into common law, and I was going to do the history of this country tonight, and I actually decided last night not to do it. And the reason I don't want to do the history of it, because it's not conclusive yet. I cannot actually say to you, yes, it's conclusive. And until such time that I can conclude it, I don't want to talk about it. Because it's too complicated for people to understand. And there's too much conspiracy wrapped up in it. When we talk about the Ministry of Funny Handshakes, and we talk about papal this and papal that, and Catholic this and Catholic that, and there's too much religion wrapped up in it as well. When Magna Carta was loaded with religion, absolutely loaded. So what this document founded our society that we live in now. It actually founded it. It gave the world two-tier law. It basically gave the socially dominant of every country, it gave them a law system that they could revert to when they got in trouble. But what it did do is maintain that the people of these countries were going to be enslaved. That's what it maintained. And that, what we live in now, is the evolution of slavery. And it's not about the colour of your skin. It's not about how you talk. It's not about where you come from. It's just the fact that you are the engine that drives this country. Every single individual in this room who works and does a job, you drive this country. Without you, this country stops. Or the industry you work in stops. If no carpenters turn up for work tomorrow, the housing industry stops. Because in each industry, there is someone who does something to create a job for someone else to do. Miss how this country's structured. So what I'll run you through today is a few bits and pieces that you might find interesting. A lot of people, do you believe that Parliament was set up with representatives to represent you and your wishes? Do you believe that?
No.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, Adrian. That makes my life a lot more easier. Right. So you don't believe in politics? No? Not at all. Great. Do you believe a political party can solve this issue? It's getting better. Do you believe the society we live in is broken?
Yes.
Well, what I'm going to tell you today is, it's not. Believe me. It's working exactly how it was designed to, and this was designed in the 1200s. Now, the history side of it would actually explain this in greater detail, but believe me, this is exactly what was planned. Do you believe you get justice in the courts? Do you know what Acts of Parliament are? Do you know what statutes are? No? Okay. Do you know what statutory instruments are? Not heard of this? But you abide by them every single day. Every day. And do you know what a constitution is? Oh. The clue is in con. Most people believe they are electing members of Parliament to represent you. They do believe that, believe me. I talk to a lot of people who believe that political parties, or the formulation of a new political party, would solve this problem if it got into power in Parliament. One of the things that, I must tell you this as well, because this comes to me, someone sent me an email which is very interesting. I knew that the word Parliament comes from the word parler, French, for talk. What I didn't know, that meant means lies. So what I'm going to show you tonight is my experiences. This is about me. And I'm not saying that egotistically or big-headedly or anything. I want to show you, because I've lived a lot of these experiences. And that's what I want to share with you. What I found out, after a lot of information coming to me, I found out that the directors, the Parliament, are basically directors of a corporation. That's all they are. And they're actually a for-profit corporation, which makes them making money. They're trading. I didn't believe this, so I had to go and find it for myself. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to take this information I'm going to give you tonight and actually go and look at it yourself. Because when you look at this, you will realise what the truth is. I can tell you this all night long, but it's meaningless unless you actually see this for yourself. This is Dun & Bradstreet. Now, a lot of people don't know what Dun & Bradstreet is, but Dun & Bradstreet basically is a credit reference agency that you can check out. If you were going to do business with a company, you can go on this here and you can pay a lot of money, as you can see, and you can find out if this company does good business. If they've got debts, do they pay on time? All that sort of stuff, all to do with businesses. Well, the members of Parliament are on here as a company. David Cameron, MP, is a company. Gordon Brown is a company. And this is the best one. Alistair Darling is a trading name of the Labour Party. Now, there's something very key to this, because Alistair Darling is a diplomat. And a diplomat has diplomatic status. That means they can circumvent certain laws to do things. This is why trading. You'll like this picture. This is very fitting at the moment, and this comes from an article from my dear friend over there. Because she called Darling Dastardly Darling. If you remember this cartoon, you'll remember that all he ever wanted to do was get to the finish line and cheat all the way along. And he had his little sidekick. So this is very fitting. Politics is pertaining to policy of the administration of a government. And policy, as you can see, is a government or a political party. A corporation can have policy. It's a written contract or a certificate of insurance. The Acts of Parliament become statutes, primary legislation. They are enacted under statutory instruments which are secondary legislation. The prime example is council tax. The council tax is the Local Government Finance Act, the 1st of April 1993, and this came in under this Act here, the Local Government Finance Act. It's called the 1992 Act for short. But when you look at a statutory instrument, it's actually a created written legal contract. It's not law. There's no way in any of the definitions that I've looked at I can find it says it's law, because it's not. It's basically a contract, and this is very crucial. Society is the socially dominant members of any community. Human beings live in communities. And what they decided to do was destroy that by putting an ism on the end of it, which is what they did. But we basically live in a community. A society is the socially dominant members of that community. And do you believe that we have a socially dominant member of our community who are trying to control everybody else? Because that's basically what we've got. That's worldwide. When you hear about New World Order and you hear about all this stuff and the enlightened ones who, I don't know, got light bulbs shoved up their arse or whatever they've got. Basically what they are these, the socially dominant. They want to maintain their social dominance, and the only way they can maintain it is by keeping you lot enslaved. Did you know at this moment in time, 53% of your earnings is paid in some form of tax? Did you know that? 53%. A society is also a number of persons united together by mutual consent. And they deliberate and determine and act jointly for some common purpose. Now, some people know this word, because my friend Brian Gerrish is doing some amazing stuff with these. But anyway, this is what they basically do, a society. Now, a contract is an agreement between two or more persons that creates or modifies an existing relationship. There has to be offer and consideration and acceptance for it to exist. In Roman times, a handshake was considered enough to have entered into contract. Thus, you get the saying, you shake on it. A gentleman's agreement, I believe they call it. The fundamental rules, this is what a constitution is. The fundamental rules, and they're written or unwritten. Generally, they're unwritten because it's easier to manipulate. That establishes the character of a government by defining the basic principles that society must conform to. You were not given a choice if you wanted to join the society, because it was done at a time when you couldn't express a choice. But you were joined. When we define a statute, we find it's a legislative rule of society given the force of law by the consent of the governed. That means it's not law. Because nowhere in that definition does it say it's law. It actually says it's given the force of law. There's a big difference, a massive difference. Because it only becomes a force of law when you consent to it. That means it applies to you when you say yes. But if you don't say yes, as it is at the moment, they're not taking a lot of notice of it. But this is the facts. It comes from the neuter of Latin, and it's got a word that it comes from, is status. And does this world revolve around this word? But status is a legal character or condition of a person or a thing. Now, I don't know if you know, but when you go back, right back, and you look at the Roman civilis law, you find that things were slaves. That's what we were classed as. In the 1200s, we were classed as things. But they couldn't contain us because human beings naturally evolve. So they had to evolve the slavery. This is where the person comes into it. By its own definition, you can see it is not law. It is only policy. There's a big difference between law and policy. There is a massive difference between legal and lawful. Massive difference. The United Kingdom is a corporation. Now, since doing my Stoke talk, I've had a lot of people attack me over this because they're saying they can't find it on Companies House, they can't find it. But who owns Companies House? That's it. That's it. That's it. Exactly. It's .gov.uk. If you look hard enough, you will find it, but you've got to dig deep. The United Kingdom is definitely a corporation, and these files show it being discussed as the United Kingdom Corporation. And it was discussed in 1940, 1944 and 1949. This is just a brief search. If you search deep enough, you will find a wealth of stuff. Hansard's is a great place to look as well. Hansard's. Everything that goes on in Parliament is basically recorded in Hansard's. Everything. The United Kingdom as a corporation, actually, when I'd done a bit of digging about, I found that up till February the 2nd, February last year, it was actually known as United Kingdom PLC. And then that was dissolved. They've never published the accounts, and you can actually find that on Companies House. And then it became this. I've got a funny feeling, though, it's changed again. But I'm not 100% sure. We've got a funny feeling it's gone to UK PLC. But they changed basically just before they have to publish their accounts. He said, I don't know, I only found this out a little while ago. I presume there's some businessmen in the audience. But it turns out with these limited companies that you can actually start a company, offset all the tax and all the liabilities onto the new company, and then fold it. Yeah. So this is basically what's going on. It's very interesting. Yeah, I can give it you. There will be a copy of it coming out very soon. The United Kingdom has employees. As a corporation, it has employees. And I'm one of them employees, or I was. I'm not anymore. It's not just civil servants, it's all of us. Anyone who has a national insurance number is an employee of the United Kingdom Corporation. Company policy of this corporation requires me as an employee to pay tax. And I have to abide by all the legislative rules of this corporation. In this case, they're statutes. As in any company, if I break the rules, I get penalised under the company legislation. Any company that you work for, any company you're involved in, any corporation, if you break the rules, you get penalised. It seems the police of the United Kingdom are all corporations too. The corporate policy enforcement officers, their job is to enforce the rules of the corporation. That's what they do. It seems all the courts as well are corporations. If you break the rules, I will get an invite, which is a summons. It's actually an invite. They are inviting me to their place of business to discuss my punishment. And they've done it many times. I'm telling you, many times. They don't get very far, but they do it. Except they're not inviting me. I just think they are, but I know they're not. They're not inviting me. It seems the highest court in the land, which is the House of Lords, is also a company. Every single court that you look at, you will find is a company. And what you will find now, which is we're finding, which is very surprising as well, is that county councils are actually trading in court names. A friend of mine, I found out the other day from a lawyer friend of mine in Wales, what the Latin word is for the legal system. And this is from a lawyer. And the word is bollocks. And that's from a lawyer. And he's a statute lawyer. He's a statute lawyer. He's very annoyed at me because he says from 1996 he's basically wasted his life.